We're going to make a tutorial here on how I make my backing tracks in FLStudio 11 demo version. First though, open up new from template, empty, get you an empty template up here. Then go to options, then audio settings. I found that if you're on Audio for All, you're not going to be able to use any other sound source on your computer. I found that by accident. My laptop was set up with the primary sound driver, and this one was set up with Audio, and I was able to use YouTube and play around in FLStudio and get sound from both of them in my laptop, but not this one. So I figured out that that was the problem. I put this one on primary sound driver, and I can bounce back and forth. And if you want to listen to a tutorial and follow along kind of with YouTube, you almost need that. So just change it back to primary sound driver. And honestly, if you're just using things inside of FLStudio, you're really not going to need the latency. Really is not that big of a deal unless you're putting something in by an external source, a keyboard or something like that. The only time you can really maybe tell it is if you're in a drum thing and you're tapping around on something. There might be a little bit of a lag, but for what I'm doing, it's not going to be an issue. So it's the benefit of having it in is a lot better. The benefit's a lot more benefit to be able to go back and forth than it is to have no latency in this situation. So, all right. Okie doke. What we're going to want to do now is go to, what do? We do new already from template. Did I do this already? Go to empty. I guess I did. All right, now go over here to the old storehouse and click plugin database. And when I say click, I'm meaning just left click. If I say right click, I'll say right click. And then go to drum and drum machine and come down to FPC, right click, open a new channel. You can get rid of those. You don't need those right now. I collapse this thing a lot too. Second button over, collapse it, because it gets so strung out with stuff over here. It gets kind of crazy. Now go down to plugin presets, generators, down to harmless, to bases, and come over here to just the sub. Right click, open a new channel. Now close bases. And like I said, you can get any of these and use sounds out of anything. This isn't about that. You know about that. Synthesizer, Gladiator. Right click, open a new channel. Strings, string, GOL, right click, open a new channel. Okay. Come back up and collapse these. Go down to packs. Loops. And I like this either breaker or broken. It's nice little short loops. Right click, open a new channel. Now we should have, collapse it all up here. Okay, we should have everything we need over here. Come over here and just real quick in your step sequencer, just click this first little step right there, and that's all you're going to need to click, because this will just have that drum loop go through your whole backing track, your whole song. Alright, well, what I want to do too is get rid of this. Hit right click on sampler, delete it, get it out of there, and it won't be in our way now. Okay, now shift, hold the shift key down and click, 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 click. These are all left clicks, just normal clicks. Come up here to your mixer, which is the 5th button on the right here. This is the ones you're going to use the most right here. And if you get confused, whatever you're hovering over, it's going to say it right in here. See all that? So go to the mixer, click the mixer, come to insert 1. right click it, go to link selected channels, just hover over it, and this is what's going to come up. Then bounce down to this one, then click starting from this track, and you just put all this stuff in your mixer, which is kind of good because then you can manipulate everything. You can add effects to everything if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. Uh, if you know, what I like to do right off the bat is click the broken one. That's going to be our little drum loop, and I like to add a little bit of reverb to that. It always sounds better to add a little bit of reverb to it. So, being we don't have anything else in yet, we don't have to worry about silencing anything or soloing anything. You just come up here and click it. Hear that reverb in there? That's enough. Just a little bit of reverb helps things sound a little bit better. Now we're going to slow that down probably a little bit later on. Okay, now we're ready to start adding in some stuff here. Piano roll. No. Piano roll. There we go. All right. Open the piano roll here. Right there. And all the way over here, this is all the options. Go to the far left. Click the down arrow. Go down to helpers. And you're going to see note grid highlights, note length properties, and this is the important one, ghost channels. Make sure that's clicked. And then go to snap, and then you make snap about a half step. That's about as close as you're going to need it. You know, we're not making any symphonies here or nothing, but it just gives you a good small thing to click, a small portion that you're really not going to ever need anything more than that, I wouldn't think. Alright, now we can manipulate everything right here. We don't need to go back to the step sequencer. We don't need to do anything. Let's just start though. Let's not start here. Let's put in some of the, this is kind of that keyboard sound. And if you don't know how to manipulate this or how to deal with notes and chords, how to build chords, go to the internet and type in autochords.com. You know, Google it or whatever. What this is, it's a you click in whatever key you're in. You want. Come on, get off of there. Jeez, come on. Whatever key you want, and it gives you the chords down here of what sounds good with that key. So you want to do C, D minor, A minor, G always sounds good. So you can play around with this in different, you know, you can take your time and play around with this, whatever key you want to make your music in. And this basically gives you, this is set for 12 bar, but it gives you different settings, all different settings. But here's your basic 12 bar blues. This is real basic. You know, you got 4 measures of C, 2 measures of F, 2 measures of C, then a measure of G, measure of F, measure of C, and then a measure back of G. That's a real basic 12 bar blues. So, and like I say, I'm no musician that really knows. I don't know a lot about music, but I know enough to be dangerous. So, all right. So go back to the FLStudio. Now, but the good thing about this is you don't have to know about how to make. All you need to do is know what chords you want to put in. You don't necessarily need to know how to make the chord. That's why I use this auto chords thing. Kind of helps you figure out what chords you want, because you can do this in FLStudio. Go up here to this little draw tool, this little pencil-y looking draw tool. Right click it, and this can build any chord you can ever imagine. We're not going to deal with everything. We're just going to deal with major and minor. Click major, just left click major. And when you come here and click on the C, it's going to build you a C major chord. Come up here to this bar. Go to the end of the bar, get the right arrow and drag it all the way over. Alright. get the right arrow on this chord and drag the chord over to the all the way, make one measure out of it. What sounds good with the C is a D minor. Go up here to your pencil tool again, your draw tool, right click, minor. You're going to put a D minor in here. That's going to be a D minor chord now. Now we're going to go to an A minor. There's an A minor chord. You just click it on A, and basically you're just kind of, you know, clicking it in A minor. You can click it in this. You can click it in A up here. Whatever. Just kind of keeps it, you know, you can keep it in your fives, whatever. And then we're going to go G major. Now we're going to go here. So let's hear what this sounds like. This should be kind of a keyboardy sound, and my drums will be in there too. Sounds good, but it's a hell of a lot too fast. So go over here and grab this. This was at. Go over here. It was at what, 140. Go over here and grab this tempo and drag it, click it, and hold and drag it down to about 100. And it says restretch. Say yes. Now let's hear it. That's more like it. Alright. Let's add some strings now. Alright, we're going to add some strings. Now what were we in? C5? Let's add some strings in C6. Now let's go to minor. Let's go to D6. And then A6. And then we're going to go back to major and go G6. Boom. Alright. That's going to give us a, let's hear how that sounds. See, that sounds a little fuller. Okay, that sounds better. Now we're going to go to add some bass into it. Now you can make this as long as you want. I'm just doing these four just for this to show. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, bass. Now for the bass, you don't want it to be like major or minor. You want none. So all it does is put in one line, one note, and it don't have to be this long. So you can just make it. All it's going to do is one hit, like boom, and then just die out. And just, you're safe to put it on the root, like C, D. You know, you can get tricky with it and put, you know, if you wanted to, you could kind of go like this, you know, like this. Let's hear how that sounds. You know, it's you can get, you know, fancy with it if you want, you know. But basically it's just, if you hit the roots, you're pretty safe. And the lower you make it, if you make the bass up here, that sounds goofy. You don't want to bass that high. And if you put bass down here, sometimes you can't even hear it. So sometimes you got to fiddle around with that one just to get it right. One more. All right, let's do the FPC, the drum machine, that drum kind of machine thing. I've been adding a little bit of, I thought, what the hell could I add to it? I thought, let me try this. So I started adding a little bit of tambourine to the beginning of each measure. Boom, 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 and boom. Yeah, it sounds all right. I mean, it's, you know, might sound silly to some people, but I thought it sounds okay. Then you add a kind of a cymbal crash to the beginning of each measure. See how you got the measure here? Just kind of click that and add that to the measure. You know, see how that sounds. I like that Gladiator though. That Gladiator sound, it kind of hits and then it fades. It's not like a wah, wah, wah. It's just kind of like boom, and it dies, and then, you know, it goes back up again and dies and goes back up again. I was using a lot of just regular organs. They got a thing called church organ in there, and it sounds good. You can put some chorus on it, some reverb, and it sounds good. But for some reason now I've been on that Gladiator sound, and it just because it just kind of comes in and dies, like it hits hard and then kind of fades out. It's not that driving beat that driving organ sound, and the strings sound good too with it. You could even jump your strings up another octave up higher, and make the strings go higher. But okay, let's go to. I think that's it. I think that's all we need. That's almost all the instruments I've been using. So let's go like this. Go to the playlist, click your playlist, then come up here, and if it doesn't come in there, just click pattern 1, then click it again, and there it is. There's our song. See pattern and song right here. Go to song. You see it jumped your cursor in, and it's going to play it. Alright, now what I do is, remember you can right click and get rid of anything anywhere. Take the paintbrush, go to the very, start again like you're putting it in. Hold down your left mouse button and drag. And drag and drag and drag over here to your heart's content. Because what I've found, if I just take one, if I just make an MP3 out of this one measure, or these 4 measures, or 5, whatever, 4 measures, 1, 2, 3, 4 measures. If I just make an MP3 out of that, and I use Guitar Rig, if I bounce back every time, there's a click sometimes when it goes from when it loops back. Sometimes no, sometimes yes, but it's enough that when it happens, it's annoying. So I thought, well, so what I started doing is when I build the thing, I just take and make it. I mean, the other day I made one and I just drug it out to about 4 minutes, and it was only maybe I only had maybe a 15 or 20-second chord progression, but I just drug it out, And it's funny on a backing track, if you just listen to them, they sound monotonous. But if you're playing over it, it's not. You got to get it in your head that it's a backing track. It's not a song. And because what I'll do is I'll play it, and then the next time it comes around, I'll try to play a different box over it, or just try a different scale over it, or different, add something to it, and then you're almost waiting for that repetition. Whereas if your ears are just listening to it like a song, you don't like it. It goes the other way. But anyway, what do we got here? We got probably about a minute and a half. Yeah, we got about a minute and a 45-second song here, which, it's better than every 10 seconds it looping back. So, go back, no big deal. Just put it back to normal. Go here to File now. Go to File, Export, MP3, click it. Now, don't save it here. Save in desktop, and come down here and title it BT1, whatever, backing track 1, or make whatever you want to do. But don't do it. Just do it in your desktop, or make another folder for it, or do whatever. But don't save it in the Fruity Loops or in the FLStudio one they give you, because sometimes I think they say once you save it in there, you can't get it back out. That's the trick of the. That's the trick thing of the demo version, or maybe I'm wrong too. But whatever. I've done it like that, and I couldn't get it back out somehow. So just make the MP3 and put it in your desktop, or make another folder for it, and then just click Save. Then this is what's going to come up right here. Then you just hit Start, and it's going to start making. The longer you make this, the longer it's going to take to render. But what it's basically doing right here is making you an MP3 of what you just, your chord progression and what you just built up in here. So I'm going to abort that because I don't really want to make it. But that's basically when it's done, you get that little bloop sound, and it will be on your desktop, and you can play it just play it forever like an MP3 player, and it's just like a regular, not an MP3 player. You can play it as an MP3. You can put it in Guitar Rig or whatever. You might have something that, whatever, however you usually play your backing tracks in, you can play it in that, and it's fine. Then you get tired of that one, you come open up FL Studio and go make you a new one. Use a different key. Use get crazy, get F sharp minor, make them out of anything. Make your chord progressions out of anything. So hope it helped. Good luck.